Good evening and welcome to our 6:15 Ask Me Anything session for Meridian Technology Center. This session is for our future students and parents and any family members that we might have out there. And we are just super excited to have you join us this evening. And today we are going to be hearing from two of our STEM Academy instructors in biomedical sciences and in pre-engineering. And so here in just a little bit, I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves and just tell a little bit about their programs and kind of what you guys might expect if you decide to apply and then enroll in either one of their programs. As just a reminder for tonight, it is going to be a 30-minute session. We won't go over that. We want to respect your time, but we also want to get your questions answered. So if you have a question this evening, then we invite you to put that into the question and answer tab down at the bottom of the page. And then we will answer that question here this evening and make sure that either our instructors answer that question or we get it answered for you. And so if you have a question this evening, we invite you to do that. We do have some questions that have been submitted prior to our session. And so, we're going to be asking our instructors those questions here in just a little bit. I also want to talk to you guys about our 360 tour that our marketing department has put together. And so what they have done is they've gone into each classroom, into each program, and they've taken a 360 camera and looked at our program just so you can get a better view of what we have to offer. In that 360 tour, you're going to see an interview with a teacher, instructor. You will see an interview with a student, and then also just some other information about the program. So we invite you to look at that 360 tour, and you're going to find that at meridiantech.edu/visit. You're going to hear me talk about that several times this evening. That's a really important website for us. But if you guys have any questions this evening, again, put those in the Q&A, put those down in that tab, and we will get those questions answered, because this evening is for you, and it's a time for us to help you understand just a little bit more about the programs that we have here at Meridian Technology Center. I'm going to introduce our instructors to you and let them kind of tell you a little bit about what their programs are all about and what they entail. And so I'm first going to introduce our biomedical sciences instructor. She is Stephanie Hara, and so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. In biomed, we typically have students who are interested in going into not just medicine, healthcare, math and science they like really well. So they're really, most of the time, looking at careers where they know they're going to have a college degree later. We do a lot of hands-on labs. Some of the ooey gooey stuff that other people aren't interested in doing, we do it. So lots of dissections and microbiology, things like that. So bacteria and fungus and things like that. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, awesome. And now our pre-engineering instructor is Mr. Mark Thomas. So Mr. Thomas, I'll let you just kind of speak about your program.
Sure. So my name's Mark Thomas. I've taught here for 7 years now, and we have the opportunity for students to take 1 math, 1 science, and 2 engineering courses each year that they're here. They would get the other courses needed for high school work from their sending schools. Just like biomedical sciences, we only accept high school students in our programs. And the goal is to help them, prepare them for the next rigorous academic challenge. So our students will come out of engineering, and some of them go into engineering. Most of them, I would say, go into some form of engineering. But some of them choose a computer science pathway. Some of them choose an architect pathway. There's just a variety of programs that would be out there on those next steps that we help to prepare students for.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Like I said, we have some questions that have been submitted prior to our session this evening. If you have a question tonight, put those in our question and answer tab. One of the questions is from Alex, and it says, how many hours of homework is expected per week in the pre-engineering program? So Mr. Thomas, I'll let you kind of tackle that one.
Sure. So Probably more than what you had in 9th grade at your sending school or 10th grade at your sending school. So I would say expect that there's more than what you typically had. I actually asked my students this question earlier because I wanted to get a fair representation. I didn't want it to be the teacher version of it. I wanted to say, okay, how much time do you spend in AP Calculus or AP Physics or AP Chemistry or your engineering courses? Typically, most of them said in the engineering courses, it's very minimal. Most of the work that they do in their engineering courses with Project Lead the Way is actually done in class. Occasionally, there may be something carries over to where they kind of need to get caught up on things, but the design of those courses really are a lot of hands-on things and in-class things. Then each student would take a math and a science course. And for the most part, most of the students said that they would experience, about 30 minutes, 45 minutes of homework a night. Now, that varies, and they readily admitted that that varies. If they're struggling with a concept and they need to go find videos to help them out or something like that, then it may expand beyond that. If they're needing to study hard for a test that's coming up, then some of them say, hey, we might spend a couple of hours that night before working hard on it. For the most part, though, I would say for our academic courses, around 45 minutes a night.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Ms. Hara, Matthew asked a question kind of along the same lines. How much homework does the STEM Academy entail? So I'll let you address that to Matthew. How much homework in biomedical sciences?
I think Mr. Thomas pretty much hit the nail on the head. Most of our students, when we ask them, they tell me that they typically don't have to devote more than an hour. The only thing different I might say is an hour per academic course possibly, but it depends. Some sciences are easier than others. Some are harder, obviously. Typically, the students tell me they spend more time with some of the harder math concepts. But they've always told me never more than an hour. And it's never really negative in that it's overwhelming the volume. It's an appropriate amount. And so I think that's the one thing I want them to know. There's not any way to do math and science and not have homework. I just don't think that's possible.
Sure.
But the volume of work that they have is not overwhelming by any means.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We have oh yeah, go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
Let me mention one more thing on that is our students do incredibly well in our program and they do incredibly well in that next step. The students that struggle more often than not in our programs are the ones that don't want to do homework and don't want to turn in homework. So we do rigorous work, but the students find that they're able to meet that challenge if they're willing to do the work.
Okay. All right. We have another question that was submitted. This is by from Nicole, and she says, "Can you give a broad overview of the coursework and the requirements of the courses?" I know, Mr. Thomas, you mentioned like AP Chemistry, AP, I think you said Physics as well. So like, can you just give kind of a broad overview of the coursework and the requirements of some of those courses? So I'll let you answer that first, Mr. Thomas.
Okay, so each year that a student is here, they get a math class and a science class. So our math pathway is Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, AP Calculus. I've taught AP Calculus now at 3 different schools for 25 years. It's the same type of AP Calculus that I've done in the past. We have technology here that we're able to leverage more of. We have equipment here that we're able to leverage. So some of the activities get a little bit more robust, but it is actually that same level that I taught at Stillwater High School. Science-wise, it's Chem 1, AP Physics and AP Chemistry. And so that would be the sequence of pathway for the science side. And again, each of those, several of those courses have AP exams that would allow them to receive credit at different universities. Then they would also take 2 Project Lead the Way engineering courses. And there's just a variety of those, everything from Introduction to Engineering Design, Principles of Engineering, Civil Engineering and Architecture, Digital Electronics. We have a capstone engineering design and development course, an environmental sustainability course, and an aerospace engineering course. So there's quite a broad categories of things that students could do. And by doing that, they are able to select from a variety of those. So that way, whenever they do go to college, they have a better feel of what they want to pursue.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Hara, can you kind of hit on the same thing with biomedical sciences, just kind of a broad overview of the coursework and some of the requirements of the courses that you have?
Okay, so Mr. Thomas keeps mentioning the one math and the one science, and we do exactly the same in our area as well. So they take their math and their science with us, and then they have 2 Project Lead the Way courses each year that they're with us. Our pathway is similar. There's a little bit of difference. Typically, a pathway for us is Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and then AP statistics, because in medicine we do a lot of stats stuff, so that's why it differs a little bit. And then the science typically is a Chem 1, AP Bio, and then anatomy. So they get all of those here. The Project Lead the Way courses are directed more to health and science, obviously. And so they're heavy lab related, lots of dissections, hands-on labs, microbiology, gosh, the list just goes on. It's just, to me, the difference is all of the active labs that they're doing in the classroom that they get to experience. It's very experiential. And so I think that's one thing that sets us apart. They get to decide often the direction that they go as far as their labs, deciding exactly what do they want to experience, what do they want to explore. So it's more student driven, which is, I think, one thing that I particularly enjoy about the curriculum.
Okay, and we just had another question come in on our Q&A, and this is another question. This is from Alex. It says, is it 2 Project Lead the Way courses in total or 2 per year?
That's a great question. It is 2 per year. So students can either begin with us as a sophomore and go for 3 years, in which case they would get 6 Project Lead the Way courses, or they could come in as a junior, in which case they would only be with us for 2 years and they would get 4 Project Lead the Way courses.
Okay, and is that the same with you, Ms. Hara? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Thank you very much, Alex, for submitting that question. And again, if anyone has questions this evening that you would like our instructors to answer, then we invite you to do that. One additional question that we've had, this is from Alexis, and this is more directed probably towards Ms. Hara. It says, I'm interested in going and becoming a physical therapist or a dermatologist. What areas as far as class would be the best fit for Alexis?
I guess it's hard for me to say for sure, but there's 2 different ways that you can go. Meridian does offer health careers, which does have a different, it's set up differently for them, and it does still do anatomy and it does do things like that. If you're saying that you want to be a physical therapist or a dermatologist, you're saying that you're going to require college to do that, and some rigorous courses. The one thing that we do very differently in biomed and STEM is that we're highlighting your academics, so your math and your sciences, and the goal is that you have really good foundation to move forward at the college level. And so my initial thought is we're more tailored to those professions. That would be my initial thought.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Kind of a more general question for each one of your programs is, what types of hands-on projects do your students work on? And then just more generally even than that is, what is a typical day like for your students in each one of your programs? Ms. Hara, I'll let you begin with that one.
So for me, hands-on is we learn a lot about the body and DNA. And so we have to do labs that look at DNA. So at a molecular level, what's going on. We do some crime scene investigation as far as looking at what what clues are left behind, because each of us are unique individuals. So we do a lot with that. In biology, we'll grow plants. And so you're growing plants to study the genetics and try to mimic some of the things that we learned from Mendel way back when. So we do a lot of that as well. So that's really heavy. And I know you asked something else, but what was the second part?
Yeah, so what's a typical day like for your students in your program?
Okay, so we're in 85-minute blocks. And so the first 85 minutes of our day is spent in whatever Project Lead the Way course they're in that particular semester. And their second 85 minutes is their math or science academic. We do an AB block, and we do for our Project Lead the Way, I guess I should say, and academics run the entire year. So it's a little different because the Project Lead the Way courses are semester blocks and our academics will go the whole year. So every other day is math or science is what you would go to.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Thomas, can you kind of explain some hands-on projects for your students, and then just what a typical day is like in your program?
Sure. So with the variety of engineering courses that we have, there's so many different things that they do. Our civil engineering kids might do some soil samples and look at shaking through some of the different shakers and see the composition of things. In civil engineering and architecture, the architect side, they'll build mock houses to scale after they've designed them in a computer program called Revit. And we're actually sitting in our brand new STEM building right now. And whenever we talked with the architects, they said, oh yeah, Revit, that's what we use. So we're actually using real live massive software packages that these students have access to and actually get to experience what those look like before they ever even get out into the real world. In digital electronics, we will breadboard. We'll spend a lot of time looking at how logic works. In our principles of engineering class, they're getting ready to build a compound machine using VEX parts. And so they'll do quite a bit with that. Our chemistry classes, so our engineering students take chemistry as well. They take 2 years of chemistry. They do a ton of labs. If you actually look behind Mrs. Hera, that's also a duplicate of our chemistry class as well. So there's an instructional space up front and a lab in back, and they're all the time going to lab. In physics, we will launch things, we will drag things across the floor. So a lot of different hands-on experiences. Just today in our aerospace engineering class, they were in our shop here and they had made paper airplanes. They had to research them, design them, and then there's some specific things that they wanted to have happen. And they actually had to adjust their airplane along the way. And so they were in our shop here throwing airplanes in a class. We used to get in trouble for that, but that was actually the assignment for today. Mm-hmm. So our typical day is just like Ms. Harris said, alternating academics and then a single Project Lead the Way course per semester. So each semester, you're only technically in 3 classes with us, but the whole year, it provides 4 total classes.
Okay. All right. We had another question come in, and this again is from Alex. Alex says that they were wondering how deep do each of the pre-engineering courses go into the individual fields of engineering, like the aerospace course? Is it pretty in depth, or is it more of an overview? And then also in the lab situation, is that pretty in depth as well? In each one of those sub areas of engineering?
Sure. So a lot of that stuff, there's a structure given, and then some freedom and flexibility for students to pursue even more what they would like to look at in some of those areas. So whenever students come through our program, they are not then licensed as an aerospace engineer. It is an introductory course, but it's a very robust introductory course. Understanding about the weighting and balances of rockets, understanding about the shapes of foils. Actually behind me right here is a wind tunnel. So you can design a wind wing and then look at how that actually functions in a wind tunnel. over my shoulder there is also a plane that we had been participating with Speed Fest. This year it's not happening due to COVID, but we participated in that for many, many years, and students could have the option as just kind of an extracurricular activity to actually go in and actually build a plane that flies around 70 miles an hour. So a lot of different things there. Again, it's the ability to get glimpses into those programs, but they are very robust, and you would come out understanding whether or not you would want to pursue one of those.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Ms. Hare, I'd like to ask you kind of what are some of the careers that your students go into after they graduate from your program, or what's kind of their future path that they take once they graduate from your program?
Yeah, so we're fairly new as far as STEM goes. Pre-engineering was long established way before biomed was actually established here at Meridian. So we have our first group of students who are now they're at their final year. We have our first ones that are going to vet school, and so that's pretty exciting. We have several that have gone into nursing. We have one that's getting ready to take the MCAT, and they're hoping to go to med school, obviously. So that was their pathway. Mm-hmm. We always have this one that's always interesting to me. They'll come biomed and they're chemical engineering. So we have some that are doing chemical engineering. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's always interesting to me. I'm trying to think of any of the others that I can think of. Those are the ones that come to mind, but basically they do all kinds of things. I mean, we have several even just research that want to do research, which is really cool given COVID right now. It's just fascinating for them, you know, that they're getting to live what they're desiring to do. Epidemiology is one that's been pretty big, especially now, I'm sure, based on what's going on. So yeah, those are the general ideas, I would say.
Okay. And Mr. Thomas, I'll let you answer that same question. Just what are some of the career areas or what are the paths that your students take once they graduate from your program?
Sure. So once they graduate from our program, many of them go into a university somewhere with a leg up based on their AP credits that they're bringing with them. So that they already start either halfway through a freshman level experience, or some of them may even be as high as beginning almost a sophomore level experience. And so our students scatter all over the place. We have quite a few students, of course, that attend Oklahoma State. We have students as far away as Northwestern, Columbia University in New York, Texas A&M. So a lot of prestigious schools. And they choose to major in anything from chemical engineering. We have some that have gone into a biochemical engineering route. It's kind of a crossover between our two programs here. We have some that have chosen to go into computer science, computer programming. Data science is a huge field right now. And so that's another option that students may choose to do as well. And we've been in the business, if you will, long enough. We've had quite a few students already graduate from college and encountered careers. And we love to keep in touch with those. And so they're progressing nicely. They definitely felt, we hear this all the time from students and parents, that they felt like that they had a good, solid foundation that helped make college easier. And engineering is not an easy major in college. So whenever a student says, this program helped get a leg up on and made engineering easier than the surrounding students, we really take that to heart.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, well, we've got about 5 minutes here, and then our session's going to be over. But I just want to know, just briefly from each one of you, what do you love about Meridian Technology Center? Ms. Hare, I'll let you begin with that one.
You know, I think honestly, for me, it's home away from home. It's very much about family. We value each individual for their uniqueness, and that I think is really cool. When we get students here, they view it as, this is like a place I want to come to every single day, and that's really cool.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Thomas, same question. What is it that you love about Meridian Technology Center?
Sure. So to kind of piggyback a little bit of that, I think one of the neat things about our technology centers, we have sending schools from 10 different communities. And with that, these are the students that come here get to meet students from other schools that they never would have encountered. And they really form a tight bond because we do have very small class sizes, and many times they're in the same classes, the same math class all 3 years, same science class all 3 years, and then frequently they're in a lot of the engineering courses together as well. And so they really develop a really tight bond. I know that just in the last graduating class, there were graduation parties that one group of kids from a particular town might be hosting, and the rest of the students would go to it. And so they just really do interact so incredibly well. That's something not only that we see, but whenever we ask our students at the end of the time, what did you really enjoy about Meridian? That's one of the things that they self-identify that's extremely valuable. The other thing that I think that's really cool about Meridian Technology Center, and especially in our STEM Academy, the level of instruction that we're able to do with the background of instructors that we have, we're able to teach at a very high level. We're able to connect ideas, and then we're able to teach not only the rigorous math content, but also put it in context of an engineering problem. And so we have a lot of crossover between our courses. I know I don't teach AP chemistry, but I know what our chemistry teacher is teaching. So that way, whenever I'm teaching physics, we're going to meld those together and help those overlap. Same thing with calculus.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you all. And not even to mention that we have a brand new building, right? Our STEM Academy is in a brand new building. So we got to love that, right? Well, I want to thank both of our instructors this evening, Ms. Sarah and Mr. Thomas. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you, students, for coming and for joining with us this evening. If you have an additional question that you would like to ask of our instructors, we invite you to go to www.meridiantech.edu/visit and then go to the AMA or the Ask Me Anything tab. And you can submit your question there, and we'll make sure that we get it to Ms. Thomas or Mr. Thomas and Ms. Hara, and have them answer those questions for you. Just to kind of finish to close us up for this evening, I have just a few announcements. We have a future student and parent virtual open house on January the 26th. And so that is going to be something that, again, you can find that information on that visit page. So meridiantech.edu/visit. And so we encourage you to, again, join with us on the 26th to just get to know our instructors a little bit better, to ask questions, to become more familiar with Meridian Technology Center. Now, over the last couple of weeks, hopefully in the last week or 10 days, something like that, our students, you should have received a guide to tech in the mail and a yellow application for enrollment or to apply at Meridian Technology Center. If you decide that you want to submit that application, and we hope that you do, then we encourage you to get that application filled out by February the 1st. That's our priority enrollment date. Now, if you submit after February 1st, we will still accept that application, but that's kind of just a good timeline for you to get that application submitted. For those of you that are in public schools, you're going to submit that application to your school counselor. For those of you that are homeschooled, or you might be in a virtual school, you will submit that to the Career Planning Center here at Meridian Technology Center. Once you get your application submitted, we will, a member from Meridian Technology Center will come to your campus, and we will sit down with you and we'll do an interview. And in that interview, we're just going to make sure that you have all the everything filled out correctly on your application, that you're in the program and you're applying to the program that best fits your career aspirations, and just kind of get to know you a little bit better. And that's going to happen sometime in the middle of February. After that, usually later part of March, after spring break, maybe the first part of April, is when we will make our enrollment decisions, and you will get a letter in the mail telling you if you've been accepted to Meridian Technology Center. that's kind of our timeline of what to expect during this application and enrollment process. If you have any questions, we invite you to either call us at 405-377-3333, and you can talk to the Career Planning Center, or you can email us at cpc@meridiantech.edu. We again thank you for your time, for joining with us this evening. Instructors, thank you all very much for letting us just kind of get a little peek into your programs as well. Again, don't forget about the virtual house on January the 26th. I hope you have a great evening.